So that is Tottenham's season over, isn't it? We're out the FA Cup. We're out the Carabao Cup. Champions League, we're not going to win that, obviously. Premier League, not even looking like qualifying for Europe. Not even looking like a top half team so far. It's frustrating. It's frustrating. And I was at the game yesterday, got my programme here and, I mean, lovely programme, lovely, celebrating the 125-year anniversary of when we won the FA Cup in 1901 as a non-league team. But at the moment, I mean, in that first half, we looked, again, like a non-league team. Tale of two halves for Thomas Frank. I mean, people know my opinions on Thomas Frank now. I think that he's not up to the challenge. But there were some positives. I will say there were some positives in that second half. But myself, like quite a few other Tottenham creators and people in the social media space, that second half is actually quite damning for Thomas Frank. And I'll get into that as we talk through this video today. A reaction to Tottenham being knocked out of the FA Cup to Aston Villa, a 2-1 loss at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium again, and quoting Jack Sanders from The Sun, Tottenham have lost 37 games since the start of last season. 37 games. It's just not good enough. It's just poor as always. But I want to talk about it in general. There are some positives, there are some negatives. I'm going to try and get somewhere, and I have a theory of what will happen to Thomas Frank as well. But before we go any further, if you are new to the Sonny Talk Spurs YouTube channel and you're just joining me right now and you're like, well, what is going on there? What is this? Well, get down below, like the video because it really helps me out. We're actually closing in nearly on 11,000 subscribers, so hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell as well and let you know when I've gone live. Hype the video because that really helps me out as well. And also let me know in the comments down below, what did you make of the game? What is your opinions on Thomas Frank? Who did you think shone for the Spurs side yesterday? All that sort of good stuff. I really want to get your opinions because it's really, really important. Also, this is a premiere as well. I like to premiere these reactions so you guys can get involved in the live chat as well. I'll be responding to you as this is going live. And yeah, if you want to leave super chats as well, I'd be really, really grateful if you can afford it. But as I say there, 37 losses. And it was a tale of two halves. And I think what really ground my gears to start with was the quote that Thomas Frank said, in the lead up to this game. And he said, Thomas Frank says that he would like to see social media fans, so I guess that means me, all journalists, which I'm a qualified journalist, I have a degree as a journalist, try and manage the current squad at Tottenham Hotspur. And he said, I would like to see guys on social media or you guys experience the pressure. It's not easy. Well, I'll be honest, Thomas, you came in to this side to try and change it around. And I believed in you. I really thought you were going to be the guy to factory reset this Spurs side who, under Ange Postecoglou, who I enjoyed in patches, but it was quite gung-ho football. I really thought you were going to be the guy to really, not take us to the next level, but, really try and understand how Spurs can be successful on more than one front. But alas, we're not really seeing that. And I look at that game as a whole. And as I say, I was at the game, so I experienced it first half. First of all, the refereeing was an absolute abysmal, abysmal affair. I think it was Craig Pawson who was the guy in the middle. Shocking, really. I mean, I'll be honest, I think he lost the game when he didn't give the Palhinha foul for the tackle on Boubacar Kamara, which saw him go off injured. I really like Boubacar Kamara. I think he's a really good player. But yeah, I think that sort of set the precedent of, we then had the Joao Palhinha tackle later on in the game, and it was just an absolutely awfully refereed affair. I thought the atmosphere was better from Spurs fans, really getting behind the team, chanting, clapping the players, all that sort of good stuff. Villa away fans were good as well, I must admit, with their allocation. But I think it was quite interesting, and I don't usually do this in my reaction videos, but I want to put it in because I think it really sort of paints a picture, is the post-match interviews that the in-house Tottenham media did with Mickey van der Ven and also Thomas Frank yesterday, overall reactions to what was obviously a dismal result, but maybe a better performance in the second half.
Joined pitchside by Mickey van der Ven. Mickey, let's get your initial thoughts on the game.
Got it, obviously, that we're out of the cup. First off, I think nowhere near our level, nowhere near where we need to be. Second half, way better. I think we showed also some mentality, but I think if you showed it from the first minute, this game is totally different.
Can you put your finger on why that was the case, why it took until the second half to get things going?
No, not really. First off, we just couldn't get pressure on Aston Villa every time they came out when we tried to press. And then you feel that you get pushed back every time over and over again, and we didn't really get a grip of the game. Second things, we turned some things around, and it was way better, but still not enough, obviously, to get the equaliser, so that's tough.
Can you tell us about, from a captain's point of view, your thoughts on the second half performance, the manner of the attempted fight back?
Really good from the team. It's difficult and also easy sometimes to, when you're 2-0 down, to come into the second half and like, oh, it's going to be the same as the first half. But I think everyone showed some good mentality and showed some great passion on the pitch. And I think from the first minute in the second half, we were pushing forward and want to push Aston Villa backwards. And I think that's some mentality we've shown. But yeah, that was only the second half.
Joint pitchside with Thomas Frank. Thomas, can we get your initial thoughts on the game?
I think second half was excellent, and that's the game we want to play with intensity, passion, aggressivity, good in the high pressure, playing forward, penetration with runs and passes, scoring good goals, other chances, disallowed goal that could have given the equaliser, and maybe then who knows what happened after that. First half was not as good, and especially the second goal is that what kills us, because we're facing a good team. They scored a quality goal, the first one, but the second half, when we also together, the fans, the energy, how they feed off each other, that's brilliant.
Can we go back to the first half? What were your feelings on how the first half played out?
I think the first 20 was probably relatively even, and after that goal, we couldn't really get near them or really, need to react quicker to that. The 4, 5, 6 times you go in high pressure, you actually win it. It's a good opportunity where Magic can play Colo down, but we didn't get that enough. But that changed second half.
That second half, it just showed you, Thomas, what can happen when you get a spark. And you mentioned the stadiums with the players are pouring forward, they're chasing something. It just shows you what we're capable of, really, doesn't it? And we also saw Xavi really grasp it as well, didn't we, today? So there's lots of good things in that second half. It's a pity we just couldn't get a second goal.
Yeah. There's a lot of good things in the second half, no doubt about that. I agree, Xavi, I think, was excellent, especially the second half. Wanted to get on the ball, wanted to be decisive, wanted to make the final action, either with a pass or goal or assist or second assist. And the intensity from the whole team driving forward, loved that. That we need to put together over 2 halves. And cut out mistakes, especially the second half. Second goal.
Remember we said this at Bournemouth, but it never rains, it pours. So you get Dominic back, and then you lose Richarlison. Of course you lose Richarlison.
Yeah, we are in that spell where that's classic happens, unfortunately. We need to deal with it. I just said to the other channels, I think I think the football authorities need to look a little bit into the Thai program. There's no complaints. It's not about us. It's everyone. Because when you play this amount of games, short turnarounds, that's making it more tough. That's what it is.
I know you won't know how serious it is, but we can assume it's a hamstring, Richarlison, yeah?
Yeah, it looks like that, but we haven't assessed him yet.
Okay. On the plus side, Dominic Solanke coming into the game. Can you give us a little bit of insight to where he is? And it was a pleasant surprise, I think, for many fans turning up that he was on the bench today.
Yeah, but he's in a good place. Of course, he's not fully top fit to go 90 minutes top sharp, but he is fit enough to get out there and get 15 minutes, and then we build from there, and he will be in a better place next week against West Ham.
How crucial is it this coming week ahead of that West Ham game to have no midweek fixture?
We need it's very good to have a full week where we can train, regroup, recover, train well, make sure we come flying out against West Ham next next Saturday.
I think Thomas Frank said some good things there, and he also said it on TNT Sports as well. He said, if we played 2 halves like the second half, we would have won. Now, this is what I want to hone in on, because, that first half, pretty poor from Spurs. I think we started okay. I would say that Tottenham were a bit more of the dominant force in the early stages, especially Mathys Tel. I thought he started really brightly on that left-hand side for Spurs. And obviously Richarlison went off injured, which wasn't great. Came on for Randall Kolomoani, who I thought struggled in patches. But I thought Spurs, they were growing into the game. It was, I think, 13 to 20 minutes had gone. And I was talking to my mate Jack, who I go with, and sort of said, this is a lot better than I have seen from Spurs. Compared to the Bournemouth game, where, again, we were okay in patches. We went 1-0 up in that game. But it was another one where you're thinking, I'm going into these games at the moment really playing them down, really going, are we going to be expecting the inevitable? But when you start off like that, you think, right, something could happen here. And Villa weren't really in it. They were defending well. Their midfield was strong, and but they go up the other end. Their first sort of shot, and Emi Buendia scores from a tight angle. Obviously, question marks maybe on the defending on Vicario. I think Pedro Porro has been quite poor recently. Really poor. I don't know what's the matter with him, and I don't like, I do call players out and I hold them to account, but I don't want to go in on someone in particular. But I really am questioning Pedro Porro's form at the moment for Spurs, because it is one of those things where I'm like, what you could hang your hat on with Pedro Porro was, even though maybe he wasn't, it's a bit like Trent Alexander-Arnold when he was at Liverpool. Obviously, I'm not comparing the two players exactly, but you look at it and you think, this is a guy who, although his defensive output isn't always great, you could always rely on him for his attacking potency, whether it was Ange Postecoglou, Conte in the back three, or whatever. It was always like you could, I thought he was a crosser at stages, but now you're just not seeing that either. So I do really think, with the imminent signing of Sousa, and possibly Jed Spence, playing himself into a bit of form, Sousa going left back and maybe Jed Spence back on his favourable right hand side, Pedro Porro's minutes could become limited, and I wouldn't be too shocked if we see Pedro Porro leave the football club, but we'll see about that. So there was that goal, and then you think, at least going to half time 1-0 down, and you think that's manageable. Hopefully Thomas Frank kicks them all at the backside and we come out in the second half looking a bit more stronger. But alas, the second goal from Villa, the thing is, obviously, I will look at it from the Tottenham point of view as bad, because it's bad defending. It's like statues, and really, questionable movement from our players. But from Villa, it's like Barcelona style of football. Just the back heel, I think, from Buendia. The finish from Morgan Rogers, scores again against us, showing the difference of quality. And you know what? It's been a debate in my one of my group chats at the moment about Villa and Spurs at the moment, saying that this Villa team, is better because of Unai Emery. And I rate Unai Emery. I think he's a really good coach. I thought, he was misunderstood at Arsenal. He's gone into Villa and improved them tenfold. Like, all the individuals he's improved. But it's also down to the quality as well. Like, these players are quality players. So yeah, it is frustrating. But then the second half, I back what Thomas Frank is saying. The second half we were much better. We came out of the blocks. We go, 2-1. Really good finish from Wilson Odobert. Really was impressed with him today. I was impressed with a few people, and I'll mention that as the video goes on. Really impressed with Wilson Odobert. Thought, that really we haven't seen that sort of finish from him lately. In front of goal, him and Tel, sometimes they get a bit of stage fright in front of in the box in front of goal. But I thought he took it well. Really, blasted the shot past Bizot. But it's one of those ones where you think after that, Xavi Simons has a great effort. And you think, maybe we're in the ascendancy here. Maybe the equaliser's coming. But then as the game went on and it petered out, and Villa are clever. They know how to time waste. They know how to run the clock down. And you just see it going away from us. The substitutions late on, questionable. bringing Tel off, wasn't sure about that. Chucking Dane Scarlett on, I like Dane Scarlett, but I thought it was risky. Bringing on Dominic Solanke, again, like, this is a guy who's going to be a bit rusty. So I questioned that as well. But overall, I think I just worry about our midfield. I think the midfield is a tricky place at the moment. Because Joao Palhinha, a tale of two halves from him. 1 minute first half terrible. First half I was thinking, send him back to Bayern. March him back to Bayern. I'll drive him to the airport to get him back to Bavaria. Or he's been linked with Fulham actually. Just drive him across town. Second half, he was like a warrior. He was battling, he was winning those tackles, he was pinging balls. Really, really good. I thought he was good. I thought Xavi Simons grew into the game. As I say, Odobert and Tel were liked. I thought Colin struggled. Van der Ven looked good. Danzo, okay in patches. But this is where it comes to me. And there's a few quotes I want to read out from various Tottenham creators. And this is where my point comes. First of all, friend of the channel, Ben Bowman, said that second half fight back should not give Frank any more credit in the bank with Enoch and the board. It's easy to show a bit of fight when you're 2-0 down, and to be fair to the players, they gave it a good go. But the first half setup was once again embarrassing, and he must go. Another one was from Billy T, another friend of the channel, who said, for me, the second half is more damning on Frank. These players can play and are being held back by a pragmatic loser. And Adam Nathan as well, another Twitter contributor, said, if you ever needed a game to show how something our manager is, it's that. As soon as they thingied off his principles, believed in themselves, and just played a bit of football, it was a different game. Frank, horrified, then reined it back in with a horrific set of subs. Get him gone. So it is that sort of thing of you sit there and you go, what if there was a younger manager in situ? What if there was, a guy who, went out there and he sort of set the team up a bit better, See, what the way I sort of see it is, I understand, like, I have my opinions on Ange Postecoglou. I don't want to keep bringing him up. But I will say one thing. At least, he didn't have a plan B, and he had a plan A. The plan A was attack, attack, attack. You knew you were probably going to concede, but you knew you would probably get some goals. And, he stood by his principles, and you saw that. Might not have always worked, but you saw that. The thing is, with Frank, he hasn't got a plan A at the moment. And even though with Ange, you knew you were going to concede a bucket load, with us, you know you're going to concede. But you also know you're not going to score that many at the moment. And there's a good bunch there, I think. I went through, actually, before the game, I met up with some friends, including Kieran Carlin, who you guys might know. And we're going through that Tottenham squad, and there are some, it's a mixture of, yes, they're good, yes, they've got to go. I might have to do a tier list soon, actually. And a lot of raw talent, a lot of, talent like Bergvall, Archie Gray. You think there's potential there, Wilson Odobert, Mathys Tel. But at the moment, this manager's not getting the best out of them. Second half, I'm thinking, yeah, here we go. Like, attack, chances, popping them off. But there's still, not that potency in front of goal, that confidence to take them. And it is quite damning. And people will say, Sonny, what do you think next for Thomas Frank? I think this probably does keep him in the job, obviously a little bit longer, just a little bit longer. West Ham is telling, and this is my theory. I think with West Ham, if he doesn't get anything, if he gets anything less than a win, draw or loss, he's gone. He's definitely gone. He's got to be beating this West Ham side. This West Ham side are absolutely horrendous. They're poor. They're awful. I've watched them recently. I watched them against Nottingham Forest. I watched them against Wolves. They are terrible. Awful. If we can't at home, where actually West Ham have an okay record against us at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, that is curtains for Thomas Frank. That is certainly curtains for Thomas Frank. Because you can't bounce back from that, can you really? And after that, you'd rather just an interim come in just to the end of the season to get some morale. A bit like what Man United are doing. So, yeah, it is just a worrying, state of affairs at Spurs. And, as I say, 37 losses, since the start of last season. And after winning that Europa League, you think, that was the foundations, and I backed sacking Ange because I thought it wasn't going to, work. And people say to me, Sonny, it isn't all Frank, it is the board. Yeah, I know it's the board. I know we're stuck in our ways. But the fans want to go to football and be entertained and see something to believe in. And at the moment, we're not. Even that second half, you walk away going like, but it's still not enough. It's still the bare minimum. We've not been able to put 2 halves of football together for donkey's years. It is just a really strange, state of affairs at Tottenham Hotspur. I really don't know what the club do next. It is just so hard to judge, really, and everything down to like the situation with the transfer window, the injury list. As I say, Richarlison now injured, Kudus injured. Selling Johnson, which I backed, but not having anyone in the wings to replace. It is just frightening, really, when you come to think of what's going on at Spurs. I think the reactions tonight have been the same from a lot of people. I think we're all in the same boat now, our Spurs fans. We're sick and tired of what we're seeing.
Should we squeeze in a Spurs fan quickly? Let's get a Spurs fan on before we have a quick pause. I know how I feel after that game, but Lawrence joins us. Good evening, Lawrence.
Hello.
How are you feeling after that defeat?
First thing first, thank you for accepting my call. I'm a first-time caller, Spurs fan.
Well, you're very welcome, Lawrence. Thank you for supporting.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. It's absolutely been disappointing, to be honest. Absolutely disappointing. Premier League performance, FA Cup performance, and we are meant to be a European champions. In May, we won a trophy, a major trophy, right? And I'll tell you what was special about that trophy. My dad passed away in the month of May, and that match, when we won that match, that particular match made my entire month, and I had to travel all the way to India to pay my last respect to my dad after that match.
Sorry for your loss, Lawrence.
And it's okay. I appreciate that. After that, what have we done? What actual thing have we done?
Well, first and foremost, Lawrence, we sacked the manager that brought us that trophy, and I was part of that brigade that thought, no, I'm done with Ange. So we've got to look at that, and we've got to take that on the chin and go, okay, cool. We thought that moving forward, he wasn't the right man. Let's go get the next right man. Thomas Frank comes in that moment in time, during that whole period of a transfer window. We then the chairman's now gone. We're a club at the moment that's all over the place, realistically.
We are literally all over the place, sir. That is so true. We are literally all over the place, and I don't know when are we going to be on track again, and how long is it going to take? What sort of players? What sort of tactics we're gonna have to look forward for? If we want to do something in this game, we got to do something right. I don't know. I mean, it's been disappointing, honestly speaking. And I'm actually an HGV driver. Yeah, I drive for living. I drive for living.
Yeah.
The only way I can possibly listen to football is while I'm driving, because football, whenever Spurs are playing, they always play when I'm working, right? And when I listen to them on Talk Sports every time and seeing them losing 5-1, 3-2, and this sort of games, and it's just frustrating. It's absolutely frustrating. I don't know how long it's going to take for us to come back on track.
Lawrence is a great call. Thank you very much, Lawrence. There, he's raised a great point, and how he's feeling is how I walked out the stadium tonight, feeling of it's the same old thing. So, annoyingly, I must admit, Roy, the second half was a lot better. Xavi Simons, I thought, was fantastic in the second half. Palhinha, I love Palhinha. I don't understand. He should start every game, but you look at that and you just go, in fairness to Thomas Frank, we had 2 goals ruled offside as well. Like, I feel for Thomas Frank because not a lot's going right for him. You got to get the rub of the green.
No, it's not going his way. It's not his lucky. Every day feels like it's not his lucky day.
Picking up an Arsenal cup and all that kind of stuff. Just literally, he will wait tomorrow morning with like an Arsenal towel or something. Like, it's not going his way.
I tell you what, mate. Tottenham, since the start of last season, I just saw the stat. Since the start of last season,
at home,
they have lost in total 37 times.
And I've seen most of it.
They have lost 37 games in 1.5 seasons.
And they wonder why fans are so angry. And like I don't know if you saw the scenes the other night. And it's boiling over. We saw the scenes at the end of the FA Cup game there with Palhinha and Ollie Watkins and stuff. There's a lot of emotions running high. And I think when you're in that state, that hyper-emotional state, that's the hardest time to fix things because there's no logic and there's no reasoning. So it's going to be interesting. 03717 223344. I want to hear from some more Spurs fans. Thomas Frank, is he the man to take Tottenham Hotspur forward? Rory, I know you're a Chelsea fan, but your opinions on that, do you reckon he is or not?
Frank,
Yeah.
I think it's really difficult, Madge, because when I talk about other football clubs, I will always concede that the fans of the football club are the answer. So when I hear Tottenham fans, when my mates who support Tottenham go over the lane a lot, when they tell me that Frank is not the man for the job, he is not Tottenham, he doesn't fit the club, and they're better off without him, I kind of have to concede to their superior knowledge. But from the outside looking in, I sometimes think, what do they expect? Last year, they were 17th. They accrued a points tally that could have seen them relegated.
Yeah.
This year, they're not that. But I do admit,
and out the FA Cup
they're
again.
14th in the league and
out the Carabao Cup. Like earlier than last year.
On some level, do you know what it feels like? It just feels like the job could be too big for him.
Yeah, interesting. We'll dive into a bit more of that as well.
But let me know in the comments down below, what are you making of this at the moment? Do you want Frank gone, or were you sort of impressed with that second half and think, you know, maybe given a bit more time and resources, he can get more out of this Spurs side? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And as I said at the beginning, if you have enjoyed, leave your likes, subscribe, hit the notification bell, hype the video as well. And as I said, this is a premiere. If you missed, if you joined late, want to watch it from the start, obviously, wait till this video ends, refresh it, you can go and watch it back from the beginning. But yeah, hope you have a good rest of your weekend, and I'll catch you guys soon for another upload. See you guys later. Bye. Ciao.